What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with the overall market. Please know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. Deposits $2,000 and you're guaranteed 30. The offer ends at the end of March. So anyways, as far as the market's going, okay, if you look at this wedge on SPY, we have this lower trend line right here, this lower yellow trend line. As of right now, we're continuing to hold this despite there being a wedge. We're holding it so far. So we could ride this wedge even higher, getting closer to 609 to 610, which I think we're going to do very, very soon. So we still look quite bullish. And overall, we're continuing to break through the highs of yesterday with the unemployment numbers. So let's go over what's going on. I have some good news. Let's just say that non-farm payrolls is reported at 143,000, below expectations today. The unemployment rate's at 4%. That's below expectations, showing signs that there's strength in the labor markets, despite the fact that we're in a higher interest rate environment. This fuels Jerome Powell's narrative that there's going to be a soft landing, that everything's going to be okay. Just know that I don't fully trust these numbers. They could get revised later, so just keep that in mind. But for now, okay, this is these are the numbers that the market is seeing, and the market likes it. So they're going to use this as a good reason to squeeze shorts to try to push higher, especially when you consider the fact that SPY has almost 200,000 calls expiring, and we have, I'm sorry, not 200,000, 300,000 calls expiring. It has almost 300,000, and we have over 800,000 of these puts expiring. That's a 2.82 put to call ratio. There's 2.82 puts for every call expiring today, so that's still very, very high, and that's pretty wild. So keep that in mind. Besides that, Amazon had its earnings, right? We had decent earnings, but the problem was their outlook was not as strong. So the share price dipped about 4.5%, and now it's getting bought back up again. So now it's down only like 2.6%. So yeah, it got bought up a little bit. That's a good sign. This did not cause the market to dump much. The market held very nicely despite that. And it's very resilient. So let's talk about these charts. What do I think is going to pan out from this point on, and what are some key levels to watch for? So the first thing I want to mention is that when it comes to SPY and the others, okay, if we turn down and we end up losing 603 to 602, I will turn bearish. We're going to be expecting 600 and like the 590s, like 598. If we break the wedge and lose 602, I will turn bearish. As long as we're holding this wedge, notice that we held it here, we held it here, we held it here. Yesterday we held it. This morning we held it. So we're favoring the upwards direction towards 609 to 610 is the most likely possibility. So as I said, as long as we hold this wedge, I think we're going to be pushing for 609 to 610. I think that's the most likely possibility because we have this imbalance up here, and this wedge kind of aligns with that. So what I think is going to happen is we just continue to uptrend, and we make our way up to about 609 to 610. Once we're up there, I would be careful. Not saying we have to tank, but if we do end up losing this trend line of support, there could be a risk of us getting a rejection from up there. Not a guarantee. It depends on if we get that rejection or not, and also how we react to the all-time high. But every time SPY hits 608 to 610, I would be very careful. For now, okay, ignore all of that. We look bullish. It looks like SPY wants to continue to uptrend, push up for that 609 to 610 target. That's where I think it's going to be going. As long as we hold this trend line, I favor upside. I think right now we look bullish, and SPY wants to go to very close to 610. For the QQQ, we look bullish because there's a rising wedge-like pattern, okay, but we're not breaking through the rising wedge yet. We're not breaking out of it like this to turn bearish. We're actually holding the lower support, right? And as long as we're above 530, we could be getting close to 533. Maybe I would like to see 533, but then once we're up there, I'd be careful because every time we've hit 533 to about 530, very close to like the 536, 538 area, we have rejected. So yes, I think we could go a little higher on the QQQ as long as we try to hold above 530. Might be a little bit more upside. It's not as strong looking as SPY, but I might try to push a little bit more. If we end up losing like 525 or so, then yes, I would be a little bit more concerned for a rejection. But for now, I'm looking for 530. It might go a little higher. Then we'll see if we break through the wedge. This is not looking as strong as SPY, so just keep that in mind. The Russell 2000 had 230 as resistance and 227 as our main support. So we've been stuck within this range. What I presume is going to happen is we're going to be range bound going back and forth between these levels, unfortunately. I'm not seeing a true breakthrough this yet. If we end up breaking past 230, I'm looking for like 232 as a nice potential target. Haven't done it yet. We'll see if we end up doing it later on. But just keep in mind, I think we're just going to be range bound for now. If 227 breaks, we could be looking for a dump to about 225. And as long as we're above this key level, especially at 230, I think that this could try to rebound pretty nicely. So that's what I'm essentially eyeing, at least for now. So please keep that in mind, guys. That's what I'm seeing. For others out there, we have ES. This is looking bullish. We're riding this trend line up. As long as you don't do 60-60, we're favoring that we want to get closer to about 61.22. With this imbalances and also this resistance, we could be pushing even higher just temporarily before the wedge pans out. So we could just slowly uptrend like this into this wedge before we see a break later on. But for now, we do look a little bit more bullish for the 6120s. For NQ, I think it's holding up well. I could adjust this a tiny bit. You could sometimes do that, but it doesn't really matter too much. This might push a little bit more, but I am concerned about NQ because every time we've hit like around 22,000, there was one instance where we went a little higher, but between 22,000, 22,400, we have rejected every time historically. So it is possible we go a little higher on NQ. It's possible we try to get above 21,900. That's what my target was. Maybe we get to 22,000, but once we're up there, I would be careful in case we do get some kind of rejection move off this wedge. So yeah, we could consolidate, maybe go a little higher, but then be careful on this. Once we get close to 22,000, this could be kind of risky. For Bitcoin, as long as we don't lose 98,000, we could be looking for 101,000 plus. It most definitely has potential. What's helping the markets is Nvidia. We're going to be looking for 130 and 132 as our resistances. If we break that, we're looking for this gap for 140. There's also bullish divergence here. As long as 124 doesn't break, this could continue to push even higher. Tesla looks promising. The reason for that is because you have to zoom in onto like the 5 minutes time frame. I just want to say we have an inverse head and shoulders like pattern. So left shoulder ahead and then the right shoulder here. If we break 375, we're looking for a bigger push all the way up into the 380s or above, and eventually it's going to start reversing. As long as 363 does not fail us, and then 368, those two main supports, there's a good chance that Tesla will consolidate and start pushing for 375, then back to 380, 382, 386, and these higher levels all over again. And by the way, about Nvidia, this is what it looks like on the 5 minute. It looks very bullish. It's holding its EMAs very nicely. Going to be looking for 130 and then 132 is our targets. As long as we don't lose our key supports, I think we look very, very bullish. As long as 127 doesn't fail on Nvidia, I think we remain a lot more bullish. For Apple, looks a little bit more bullish. We have a potential wedge forming here, inverse head and shoulders like pattern. If we hold above 233, we're looking for 236 as our target. If we lose support here at 230 flat, we could be dipping to 228. This looks bullish to me. Let me go over just a few more. Netflix could be going to about 1,025. It remains bullish. Coin is looking bullish. We have to see if we could break 277 to push for 280. I did say I want to see a bounce tomorrow in my video from yesterday, so that was correct. Amazon dumped to 224. I said as long as you don't lose this should bounce. Lo and behold, Amazon is balanced. We're looking for essentially 233, then 236 is our targets. It has potential. Meta looks bullish. We could be looking for the 720s. It still remains very strong. Microsoft, as long as we're above 416, we're looking for 421. Google, as long as we don't lose 191 to 189, we could be looking for a push for essentially 195 and 196. With that being said, thank you all so much for listening. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I'll be back with another update. SPY is currently pushing at the time I'm recording this. Going to be looking for 609 to 610. Then I'd be careful up there. We'll see if it breaks past that resistance or not. But I think we push a couple of points higher for now. Thank you for listening. Have a good one and peace out.